Welcome to The Explainer. So glad you're here with us today. Look, we're going to be doing some real mental gymnastics today, diving deep into modern romantic relationships. You know the age-old debate, right? Is marriage the absolute grave of love, or is it its ultimate elevation? Today, we're cutting through all the usual emotional gossip. We're going to use pure logic to unpack a deeply philosophical question. Where does the purity of love actually come from? Does slapping a marriage certificate on a relationship protect it, or does it somehow pollute it? Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're all pretty familiar with this idea, right? You've probably even thought about it yourself. Hey, if there are absolutely no external bindings, no legal ties, no shared bank accounts, no mortgage, and two people still stay together, well, that means they are truly in love. It's an incredibly popular viewpoint because it really highlights the ultimate voluntariness of a relationship. Think about it. With zero contract, they could literally walk away any single day without a single legal or financial burden. Yet, they choose to stay. That state of absolute freedom makes the words "I love you" feel incredibly proactive, totally unburdened.
Part 1. Defining pure love. What actually makes love pure?
Let's pause for a second. I want you to genuinely think about this. What does purity actually mean to you? Like, if your expectation is a love completely devoid of any practical interests, a love relying on exactly zero institutional guarantees, based 100% on emotional resonance, well then yeah, avoiding marriage definitely seems closer to that utopian ideal. Through that lens, any contract looks like an impurity. But come on, can human intimacy really float endlessly in midair without ever touching the ground? When we look at the reality of how humans bond over long periods of time, it suggests there's actually much more to the story.
Let's move to part 2 and see how this builds. Love in freedom versus love in commitment. Two totally distinct proofs. So, when we pull love down from those utopian clouds and drop it onto solid ground, man, it gets heavy. We're talking long-term responsibility, shared risk, we're talking illness, aging, sheer economic pressure, and all the arrangements that come with having a family. This is the undeniable heavy weight of reality. When two people decide to step into marriage, they are facing these massive future costs head-on. In this context, marriage isn't a pollutant at all. It's a profound declaration. It's saying, even knowing the brutal, inevitable costs of the future, I am absolutely willing to bind myself to you. That's not an impurity. Actually, scratch that. It's more like it's a remarkably deep commitment.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core difference here. Now remember, we aren't judging which path is better or impartial here. We are simply pointing out that they prove two completely different things. Unmarried, long-term love, that's love and freedom. It proves that without any external force whatsoever, we choose each other purely from the heart. It's this beautiful, light, airy romance. But on the flip side, married long-term love is love in commitment. It proves that even after the harsh reality sets in and incredibly heavy responsibilities are shouldered, we haven't given up on each other. It's a heavy, grounded perseverance. They're simply two distinct forms of proof.
Part 3. The inescapable reality, when the institution creeps in. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it exposes a massive blind spot in the whole unbound love is completely pure argument. You see that lightness? It often only exists because a couple has temporarily managed to avoid deep, real-world bindings. But let's look at reality for a second. Joint property, raising kids, emergency medical rights, caring for elderly parents, uprooting your life for a partner's career, intertwining your entire social network. Stay together long enough, and these intersections are literally inevitable. Once these life events hit, your relationship becomes institutionalized by default. Yep, even without a certificate. Society and just basic human survival naturally bind you together. So simply avoiding marriage doesn't magically isolate your love from reality.
Part 4. True determinants of love. Beyond the certificate.
So, evading marriage doesn't automatically guarantee purity. And conversely, having a piece of paper isn't some magical shield that ensures a high-quality relationship. Couples in both of these scenarios can either thrive beautifully or entirely consume one another. So what actually decides the health of a relationship? Well, it comes down to 4 core actions. 1, the continuous, everyday drive to choose each other over the years. 2, maintaining absolute honesty. 3, having a deep sense of responsibility during a crisis. And 4, honestly the hardest one, the willingness to stay close and understanding long after that initial fiery tide of passion fades away. These actions, not whether or not you have paperwork sitting in a drawer somewhere, are the true metrics of love.
Part 5. Long-term human practice. The final synthesis.
So the crucial point is this. Love's purity is not a chemical experiment. You can't just extract a higher concentration of pure love in a test tube by simply removing the variables of law or responsibility. It just doesn't work like that. On the contrary, love is a long-term human practice. It's a giant puzzle where you're constantly balancing freedom and commitment, refining the relationship through both romance and hardcore reality. Whether you prove your heart in the freedom of being unmarried, or you prove your perseverance under the heavy weight of marriage, true purity comes from the ordinary, tested days you spend together. So knowing all of this, how will you choose your own human practice? Think about that for a while. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer. We really hope it gave you a fresh perspective. Catch you next time.